Hey guys, welcome back. I know you missed me. I'm here with another financial guru here. He talks about Airbnbs. He talks about how he accumulated his wealth, his many streams of income, and how he got there, and the importance of mindset. Some of the important books that he read to help him get to where he is today. For more information on he accumulated his wealth, make sure you check out his links down below. I love you all. And subscribe.
So who here remembers when I told you about?
This book changed the way I think about that voice in my head. It states that we are not the voice in our head. We are merely the ones that observe it. So we all have that little voice in our head that tells us stuff, right? To do this or do that, to fear. Four keys to becoming a highly effective leader. Number one, always listen to those closest to the action. Always. So you're a manager now. Congratulations. I'm sure you earned it. But the truth is,
Welcome back to another episode of Important Miscellaneous Talks. I am your host, Glass Crossfield. We are changing the world one podcast at a time, and today we have the world-renowned financial expert with us today. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks. I don't know if I'd go as far to call myself an expert. I prefer the word degenerate. I'm just guy on YouTube that teaches people how to trade high risk, high reward investments.
Got you. So what made you want to get into the financial space?
It really came from me. Most of my life, I've lived a semi-ordinary life, an average lifestyle. Right before I started YouTube up, I was a salaried manager with Olive Garden, and I have been running these million-dollar businesses for the last many years, and I've been very successful with that. But I eventually started to realize that I kind of hated my life. Although I was making good money, good bonuses, I really hated everything about it. I hated working for other people. I hated making these other people rich. Like for Olive Garden, I took their worst performing location and I put it in the top 10% my very first year
Wow.
managing for that. But of course, taking it from like 2 million a year to 10 million a year in sales, I didn't get any of that. I just made somebody else filthy rich. My bonus was a couple $1,000 a quarter, like pennies on the dollar. And at the time, I really just hated my boss. So I just wanted out of there. So while working full time with Olive Garden, I taught myself how to trade stocks. And within my first few months, I took $400 and I turned it into over $20,000. And about that point, I kind of taught my best friend what I was doing at the time. He had the same exact results. He just did what I was teaching him. He made a lot of money really quickly. And at that point, we decided to create a YouTube channel together and start teaching people the things we were doing of how we were making so much money off of these stocks, what we were looking for, how to replicate those results. And our first year on YouTube, then we took $5,000, both of us, and turned it into over $100,000. We were racing each other to see who could do it first. Unfortunately, he beat me. I was a little bit behind him in reaching that goal, but that was still huge. Take
Mhm.
5 grand, turn it into 100 grand. Just 3 months after he turned his into 100 grand, he then took that 100 grand and turned it into 1.2 million flipping NFTs. So that's kind of like how we got started and everything.
Yes, that was gonna be my next question. Is how did you get started? So that's your origin story, the Olive Garden to the YouTube.
Yep.
Wow. So how did you turn $400 into $20,000?
Well, it really, I don't have it next to me. There's this really cool motorcycle helmet I wanted, and I've been somebody that I didn't invest hardly anything throughout my life. I got life insurance policy. I teach people how to leverage that, by the way. I also invested in my 401k, and Roth IRAs, stuff like that, but small change. But I got a motorcycle. I found this really sweet Predator custom motorcycle helmet I wanted. It cost $600. I saved up enough to buy it, and instead of buying it, I decided to invest that money to delay my gratification and maybe get the helmet later, maybe get the helmet plus money later by delaying the gratification, right? And that's kind of what I started by investing that. And I turned that 400 or $600 right into 4 grand. That 4 grand I turned into 20 grand. All of that happened over the course of just like 2 months. And that's kind of how I got started. Was I just started flipping penny stocks. I like penny stocks because if you know what you're looking for and how to identify trends and patterns, you can look at 10 and 20 and 30 X's in penny stocks. Now, with that, they come with a ton of risk. I'm not an actual financial advisor. I'm just a degenerate piece of shit that's done really well for himself. But I like penny stocks just because there's so high risk reward ratio in there.
Interesting. So you like to roll the dice.
Yeah, I like to roll the dice a little bit. You got to be careful because I did lose $60,000 on a single trade last year. I've got my loss stories as well. It's a very volatile market.
Got you. So you mentioned delayed gratification. Talk about the importance of that when it comes to success.
Yeah, so I think that's the number one thing that kicked off my success is my whole life I've lived well beyond my means. Even at Olive Garden, there was a year I made $80,000 in a year, which isn't a laughable number to most people. But I was living 100,000 a year lifestyle. So I still felt poor, even making 80 grand a year. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, because I liked too much. I liked stuff too nice for what I could afford. And my whole life I've kind of lived that way. This was the first time I kind of challenged myself to delay my gratification. I really wanted that motorcycle helmet. I love my new motorcycle. I really wanted that helmet. It's pretty sweet. I can get up and show you, but it's pretty cool. So for me, it was really hard to delay my gratification on something that I wanted so much. But by doing so, I ultimately created more than $100,000. I still got my motorcycle helmet in the end, but now I ended up collecting six figures plus my motorcycle helmet. Plus, just a few months ago, I bought my dream motorcycle too, in just an all-out cash payment. And none of that would have been possible if I never took the leap of faith to initially delay my gratification. And now I kind of use that as a core principle in my life. Like right here, I got a pretty cool sleeve tattoo here. I want another one across this whole arm, but I decided I'm going to wait a little while before I get it. Even though I have the money, I could go get it now. I just want to kind of keep investing, keep saving. I think right now is the perfect market to invest in because we've been in this recession for so long. I'm gonna again delay my gratification and see if I can't turn it into something more. I'll still get my sleeve eventually, I'm sure, but yeah, that's where I
Wow,
think.
another sleeve tattoo. You really are degenerate.
Oh yeah, I'm a degen for sure.
So you mentioned living above your means. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, from rich, poor to average. So what are some of the things that you did to cut back in your lifestyle?
Well, I didn't really have to cut back. By the time I kind of made this decision, I was already more or less cut back, if you will. My Before I kind of blew up and became slightly wealthy, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I've been mostly poor, so there wasn't a lot of splurging at that time anyway. Um, yeah, what was the question again? Kind of got off on a little
What
rant.
are some of the things you did to cut back on your lifestyle?
Yeah, I really hadn't cut back at that point in my life, but like, you're talking 10 years ago, I was in the Army Honor Guard, right? There
Mm.
was a time that I had to immensely cut back. At one point, I got a divorce in the Army and it cut my pay in half. At the time, I was paying 50% of all of my Army issued pay to child support. I was making enough that even at 50%, it was a lot of money, but I still had enough left over to live comfortably. But once I got the divorce, they cut my pay in half, but they didn't change my child support for an entire another year. So for 1 year, 100% of my paycheck in the Army went to child support. There's nothing I could do about it. Like for that year specifically, I had to move back into the barracks. I was living off base in my own apartment. I had to move back into the barracks because 100% of my pay was going to child support, and courts refused to help me. The Army refused to help me. It took a year to get that straightened away, but I definitely had to cut back then. I moved into the barracks instead of the apartment. I had no splurging, and at that time, I had to put a lot of stuff on credit cards. I mean, just my living expenses had to go on credit because I wasn't getting a paycheck. And in the Army Honor Guard, I was regularly working 70 hours a week anyway, so there was no extra free time, or there was no go getting a second job. That's impossible when you're in the Honor Guard. You wake up at 4 you wake up at 3:30 a.m. every day to work at 4, get off at 7 p.m. just to get a few hours of sleep and do it again. So
God bless you. Wow, much
yeah.
stronger than me. You need to write a book. That's awfully intense. Wow. So how long did it take you to kind of get here? Once you realized what you wanted to do, once you were focused and locked in, about how long did it take you to see some remnants of what you always wanted?
So for a few years, and even before I started at Olive Garden, I started consuming social media in a different way. First of all, I didn't have any social media for like 10 years. When I joined the Army, I decided to get rid of all of that, and then I didn't have it for a very long time. Eventually, though, I realized as long as you utilize social media in a productive way, it can actually be largely beneficial to your life. Most of us just consume it. We look for dancing girls on TikTok. We look for people doing pranks. We look for comedians. We look for stuff that gives us a lot of entertainment value and fires off all those receptors in our brain, gives you that little short term dopamine high. I turn myself away from that. I don't follow those content creators, and I try to catch myself when I do start like, "Ooh, this is really funny." I try to like turn my mind off of that, and instead I follow and I like the videos that are providing me educational content, something that's teaching me something that I didn't know, or reinforcing some of the morals and stuff in which I want to live my life by. by consuming social media in that regard, I eventually got to the point where I spent a couple years watching a bunch of YouTube videos about the stock market. After a couple years of absorbing all this information about stock market, I eventually wanted to apply a lot of the knowledge that I gained through YouTube and social media. And I would say within a couple months, I took that $400 or $600 investment, I turned it into 20 grand. So I saw results almost instantly. And at one point, I started making more every single day from my phone while I'm even at work at Olive Garden. I'm just sitting here day trading from my phone, and I'm making more right here than I was as a manager at Olive Garden. Once I got to the point where I had like a solid month in a row where every single day I would make anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 a day just trading these stocks, I was like, it's time to leave this job. Like, I make more in a day than I make in a week here. And some days I was having phenomenal days. One day it went from 4 grand to 20 grand. My portfolio did. I'm like, this is like 3 months of me working here. I don't need to be here anymore. So as far as trading goes, I saw results right away. As far as starting on YouTube goes, my partner and I, we created YouTube videos for free, no payment of any kind, for like our first 3 or 4 months before we ever got monetized or saw any return. And then on YouTube, they pay you pennies on the dollar. We've averaged anywhere from $100 a month up to, at our height one time, we were making 20,000 a month on YouTube. But like even right now, I'm making about $1,000 a month on ad revenue. It's literally nothing. And then I split that in half with my partner. But it took us about 4 months before we saw anything. And about month 5 or 6, we started getting sponsorship offers. And sponsors, depending on what you do and what they do and what they're promoting, what they want you to promote, how many views you're getting, depending on all those metrics, sponsors can pay a ton of money on social media.
Mm, got you. I forgot who said this, but it says we should be the ones using social media and not let it use us.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. I tell everybody to just turn off the entertainment value of it. It's great. It'll make you feel good for a few minutes, but often it leads to psychological issues. You start comparing yourself to everybody else's highlight reel. But never mind that. It's just the average person spends 147 minutes a day on social media. Over the course of a year, that's literally like 55 days of your life that you're never going to get back, assuming you sleep for 8 hours a day. 147 minutes a day spread across, that's literally 55 days worth of your life. If you instead invested those 55 days into learning a new skill or anything of the sort, it could be beneficial of 10x to the rest of your life, where you're just wasting that time on social media
uh,
otherwise.
55 days is about 2 months. That's
Yeah.
a large portion of someone's life. So working at Olive Garden, did you like the food there?
Oh, I still love the food. I don't go back to the location I was at for most of the time because I just,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, personal disagreements I had with some people, but yeah, I still love the food there. They're pretty good. I can't hate on them. I ate really well while I was there, and being a manager, I ate for free. I probably ate more than I needed to.
Got you, because Olive Garden gets a lot of backlash for the
But
lack
I don't
of
know. I
quality.
like it. I'm
I
still
like I like
working.
it too. I like it too. If you're like a full bred Italian, they're a bit more
Oh yeah, for
strict.
sure.
So, but so what do you think people should be? What is the best thing that people can do to make money in 2022? There we go.
Learn a new skill, start a side hustle. Within my last year, I now own 3 businesses, and they all just more or less started as a side hustle. And once they picked up momentum and started creating revenue, I could turn it into an actual business and start focusing more on it and expanding it and whatnot. But literally all 3 of my primary sources of income started as side hustles. My YouTube and stock trading, that started while I was working full time at Olive Garden. And now, while I'm working full time on this YouTuber influencership, and I run a paid Discord community where I spend 24/7 teaching people how to trade stocks, crypto, NFTs, real estate, leverage life insurance. While I'm doing all that, I built an Airbnb. Excuse me. I built an Airbnb. Man, I got a
Take
little
your
hoarse in the throat.
time.
Anyways, while doing all of that, I've now built a successful Airbnb arbitrage business that again started as a side hustle. And even now, I only spend 1 or 2 hours a week on that business. And between my partner and I, it's already cash flowing $20,000 a month in profit every single month. By the end of August, we expect that number to be a little closer to 30,000 a month. And I'm only spending 1 or 2 hours a week building that business, or maintaining it, I should say. But like this coming week, I'm moving into 2 more units Monday and Tuesday of next week. That's going to be all more cash flow on top of it. So by the end of August, I might be making close to $30,000 a month for just a couple hours a week part time work. Started as a side hustle. So, and I learned all of this from TikTok and from YouTube. I saw some other creators pushing some Airbnb knowledge, enlightening me, teaching me things. I ended up signing up for a $2,000 master course. My partner and I took that course, applied the knowledge that we learned in that $2,000 master course, and built our own Airbnb business off of it. And again, we just took the course in our part time. I was just watching it for an hour or two a night. I was taking this course I paid for. And after a week or two, I've absorbed all the knowledge that the course had to teach. And I went out and applied it. But again, if I was scrolling through TikTok looking for girls twerking and stuff, I I wouldn't have gotten any of that knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. People would much rather see women twerk than pay $2,000 for a
Yeah, I
master
mean,
class.
I get that. I get it. I like it too. I like it a little too much.
Wow. So you talked about Airbnb. So what are some of the best ways to get into that?
So I'm a complete degen in everything I do. I don't think like Dave Ramsey. I actually took a Dave Ramsey course when I was in the army, and that didn't lead to me gaining any wealth. That's that conservative stuff there. Um, I'm a degen in what I do. Like with Airbnb, I simply rent homes from other homeowners, and then I list those homes on sites like Airbnb, VRBO, Furnished Finder. So I don't even own these properties. And in many of these cases, I'm starting this. My upfront cost per property on some of them is just $4,000. Most of us can come up with $4,000 one way or another. And just because we wanted to prove that we could, we actually haven't used a single dollar of our own money on any of our Airbnbs. Our first one cost us closer to $8,000 to get up and running because we weren't as good at it. We didn't have a lot of these systems optimized, and I way overshopped on furniture. I way overspent on all the decorations and stuff we put in our first unit. So about $8,000, but I just put it all on an interest-free credit card, and it was the unit completely paid for itself, that credit card, and started producing us actual profit within 3 months of being up and running. And once you get them up and running, it is almost entirely passive. I don't do anything. I don't clean my properties. I don't do any of the maintenance on them. I don't manage them. I don't check people in and out. I don't do any of that stuff. I just take the effort of buying the furniture, putting the deal together. I go spend one day moving all of the furniture in, hanging paintings everywhere. And by the end of day one, day two, it's already listed on Airbnb. And from that point forward, it's a completely passive form of income. It's super easy to get started, being such a low cost of entry. I don't think I've ever paid more than $8,000 for any of them. And one of my properties is a 4 bedroom, 3 bath house. It's like 2,500 square feet, and it still costs less than $8,000 to get that one completely furnished, first month's rent, deposit, etc. And last month, that property alone made me $4,500 in profit off one property.
Wow.
So I think that's the easiest side hustle. The only hard part of the job is convincing homeowners to go into business with you. In my master class, I teach people some sales tricks and some ways to get homeowners to say yes. But in short, you really just create a winning scenario for them. If they have their home listed for $2,000 in rent, offer them $2,500. So you're already going to offer them more money than any other long-term tenant was going to offer them. I also offer to cover all minor maintenance of the property because Airbnb people typically don't trash the property. A lot of people think they do, but they really don't. They take better care of the property because you have their credit card on file. If they damage or break anything, you're just going to bill them anyway. So in my experience, there are no damages. But I tell my homeowners, if something costs a couple $100 to fix, I'm not even going to bother you like a regular long-term tenant will. I'll just go ahead and fix it for you. I want to be the best tenant that you've ever had, so you consider re-signing with me again in the future. Or if you have more than one home, give me that home too. But just as long as you're making a winning scenario for that homeowner, it's not that hard to get people to allow you to list their home on Airbnb.
Wow. This is such good stuff. I'm so happy I got into this call. Wow. And you have do you have a course on Airbnb?
Yeah, I created my own master course. Between my partner and I, we spent about 2 months creating this course. We specifically designed it to intentionally add more value than what we thought we got out of our $2,000 master course. And I'm not knocking that at all. That was a tremendously great course and inspired me and helped me have the success I'm having in that business. But we designed ours to offer more tools, more resources, more knowledge, plus give you personal access to my partner and I by purchasing the course. We charge less than a quarter of what it cost us for that very same thing. And to us, it's really all about giving back and teaching others. For the same reason I'm making so much money in the stock market, I don't need a Discord. I don't need to make YouTube videos. I'm actually making way more in my own trading than I am in any of these videos. We really do it because we want to give back. Both my partner and I, we came from nothing. I didn't come from a wealthy family. He came from an even worse situation than I did. And we're both just completely self-made, and we want to help others achieve the same thing, where we know most Americans are caught in this week-to-week paycheck rat race that none of us can seem to get out of. So it's really just all about giving back, and that's what we think we're doing with this Airbnb course. For less than a quarter of my page, you can learn everything that I'm saying right here, and we break it down into every little detail and in a step-by-step order. So if you were to take the course, you could get your first Airbnb up and running within your first week, as long as you just start applying the things we teach you.
On average, how much do you think it would be to for the startup cost?
Well, like I said, most of ours are less than 7,000. One of our most recent units cost me 4.4. In your negotiations, if you're good, and I can't get this with all of my deals, but in one of our recent negotiations, I talked them out of paying first month rent. So I got first month rent for free, and I got them to waive the security deposit, all because I was willing to sign a 2-year lease with them, and I offered them $500 more in rent, monthly rent, than they were even asking for. So because of that 2-year lease and the extra in rent, they were willing to let me move in with no deposit and no first month rent. So the only thing it cost me to move in was the furniture and supplies, like all of your cookware, kitchenware, all that kind of stuff. It was less than $4,000 for us. So we moved into that property for 4.4 thousand, everything said and done. That's including the deposits that you may or may not have to pay on setting up your utilities and Wi-Fi and whatnot.
Got it. Okay, okay. Wow, this is such good stuff. So, describe your daily routine.
I wake up, I research the crap out of all the trending stocks. I hop in my
Time.
Discord.
What time?
We got a bunch of guys in the Discord that are making excellent call outs. Every single day, we're calling at least a 50% banger. That's not guaranteed, obviously. But between somebody, we got every single day, somebody's calling a 50% to a 500% banger. I'm just researching what everybody's talking about. I provide my daily watch list to everyone in my Discord. Hey, this is what I'm looking at. Hey, this is what I'm trading right now. I'm going to buy this at this price. I'm looking to sell it at this price. Let people follow along the best they can. That's really the good, at least first half of my day, is just providing value to all of my Discord members, and kind of just educating people how to trade stocks, crypto, and NFTs. Right now, we're not doing much in the crypto and NFT market because it's basically just collapsed. We're kind of really waiting for that next big bear run before we start getting into that heavier again. So right now, we're just really focused on microcap penny stocks, basically companies that are worth less than $50 million or so.
About what time does your day start and end?
I don't have a set time. I always just, whatever time I go to bed, I make myself wake up 8 hours later. So if I go to bed at midnight, I'm waking up at 8 a.m. If I go to bed at 10 p.m., I'm waking up at 6 a.m. To me, getting my 8 hours of sleep is one of the most important things I can do, because it makes sure my brain is firing at its best capacity every single day, as well as it allows me to work out as regularly as I want and maintain that kind of lifestyle. I just always get my 8 hours of sleep. I wake up and I start my day at that time. But typically, I'm started working by 7 a.m., somewhere between 6 and 7. I'd like to have a bulk of my stock work done by 10 or 11. That way I can focus on other stuff. These last few months, I've been kind of blowing up on TikTok. So I'll spend a couple hours making some TikToks here and there, send them off to the editor, setting up these kinds of Zoom meetings, things like that.
So, what do you think is the best investment someone should make moving forward?
Themselves. You have to invest in your knowledge. It's just the reason college is so expensive. You're learning life-changing skills. College, I think, is way too expensive and overrated, honestly. But investing in yourself it's a must. You're never going to go anywhere in life if you just know what you know now. You have to learn more. You have to do more. Many of us have been caught in this week-to-week paycheck rat race for years now. Well, in years, what have you done differently? For many of us, it's nothing. For many of us, it's I scroll on my phone every day. I watch Netflix every day. I'm always on ESPN. I'm always on Xbox or PlayStation. Every day looks the same to you. So every day ends up being the same for you. And 3 years later, you're still in the same position. You're still living paycheck to paycheck, even if it's slightly comfortably. I don't know. You have to invest in yourself. You have to start learning something new if you want to achieve something new.
Hmm. Why did you decide to get on TikTok?
I just seen the exponential growth factor it had, and I was already making YouTube videos. In many cases, we can just splice up little segments from our YouTube video and put it on TikTok. So in some cases, it takes no additional effort. And I don't know, it's just another platform where you can get out there and reach a larger audience. For us, we can reach more people. We can teach more people. If you look at the comment section of any of my TikTok videos, you'll see it's mostly overwhelmingly positive support, people that are genuinely curious about some of the things I'm teaching. Um, I don't know. I just love being able to help people, even if they're not buying anything from me. I don't care about that. I love being able to help people achieve things that I have achieved and want to achieve, and just get out of that lifestyle. I'm just completely motivated by the support I get and the messages and comments you get of like, "Hey man, I took your course. I'm on my third Airbnb now. Man, I've already quit my 9 to 5 job. Thank you so much. Hey, I made $400,000 on your stock pick last week." Well, I've had that story just a couple months ago. It's just, yeah, I don't know. That's all I need. Just know that I helped somebody. I don't want to get rich alone. I want rich friends there with me.
Amen. Wow. Wow. So what is the best way to become rich in 2022?
I think it kind of goes into everything we've been saying. I think the best way to get rich in 2022 is start investing in yourself. Read a book. I just had one right here. This is one of the best books I've ever written. One of the best books I ever read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Highly recommend that book to anybody. I'm actually going to be giving this copy away here soon. I give away all my books after I read them. But invest in yourself, invest in a new skill, a new knowledge. I guess my main takeaway for anybody is you can make money and have fun at the same time. Many people think you don't. You can't. You have to go to work. You have to work in this factory, or you have to work in this restaurant. You have to work for this wage. No, you fucking don't. You can make money off of your passion, whatever it is. And it's never been easier to figure out how to make money off of your passion than it is right now, because we have this fancy little internet website called Google, where it answers any question you've ever had. How do I invest in stocks? Question mark, enter. It'll tell you any question you've ever had, like, how do I make money on Airbnb? Question mark, enter. It'll fucking tell you for free. I don't just invest in yourself, learn a new skill, and get out there and do something with it.
What are some of the my next question was going to be, what are some of the most impactful books that you've read?
Rich Dad Poor Dad for sure. Another book I got down here somewhere. It's called The Burr Method. Even if you don't own a home right now, I highly recommend reading the Burr Method book. BRRRRR. It's buy, rehab, rent, repeat, basically. Buy, rehab, rent, repeat. I don't know, something like that. That way, it'll just open up your mind to a completely new way to think about real estate. Most people want to own a home for one reason. They want a lower mortgage payment. They know that their mortgage payment is going to be lower than their rent payment. Right now, I'm renting this house I'm living in. I pay $2,200 a month in rent. I know that their mortgage, though, is probably only $600, but they're charging me $2,200 in rent. So most people want to own their home because it lowers their payment. But that's like the smallest benefit of owning a home. The much bigger benefits are the asset appreciation. Although this guy's mortgage is probably $600, he's charging me $2,200. He's probably making $1,500 a month off of me in profit. That's pennies on the dollar for what he's made in appreciation by owning this house for even just the last 3 years. 3 years ago, this home probably sold for 250 grand, but today this home is probably worth 500 to 600 grand. So he gained $400,000 to $500,000 just by sitting on this asset class for just a few years. Plus, he was making that $1,000 to $1,500 a month in rent and cash flow every single month. Plus, you get all these tax deferred advantages or just tax advantages with owning property. Like if you want to sell this property, you could do what's called a 1031 exchange, where you basically just roll the profit from this property over into another property, a bigger, better property, or multiple other properties. You could sell this house and take the proceeds and buy 3 other income producing houses and pay no taxes on any of that profit by utilizing real estate tax advantages like the 1031 exchange. There's just so many different tax hacks you get with that it literally equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars by owning a home, versus just that $1,000 a month rent. That's pennies. That's nothing. But that is substantial once you get to 10 houses, and then they're each at $1,000 a month. That's 10,000 a month in income. That's more than the average American makes already.
So, do you own any homes?
I don't own any of mine just yet, but yeah, that's my long-term goal. Right now, I am focusing on building an Airbnb empire that produces 50, 60 grand a month in income. And at that point, you could buy a new house every month if you want.
Mm.
That is my goal, is to eventually buy. But these last few years, I've spent moving so much. This is like my 12th house I've lived in the last 3 years. I didn't want to, it was because of my jobs and stuff, but I just moved so much that I haven't settled down just yet with my own home in my own area. Plus, coming out of the army, I was in a really tough financial position because a whole year of my life went on credit cards because it was all going to child support. So it took me at least several years to kind of recover from that economic mess it created for me. Go Army.
Yeah, one of my friends, he talks about the army. He doesn't have as many great stories about their endeavors. So
Yeah, it can be quite awful sometimes, but overall, I loved it. I don't really have anything bad to say other than that 1 year that was pretty shitty how they did me, but I had a lot of good memories.
If you can give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would it be?
Trust yourself and go for what you believe in. Everything that has made me that everything I'm successful with today, I knew when I was 18. I'm 34 now as of 2 days ago. And it's just like, man, if I had applied all of this those 12, 15 years earlier, holy cow, like it would have been mind-boggling. Like I've known that I could be successful in all these ventures for years. Even from an early age, I just kind of felt like I knew I was always going to be wealthy. I knew I'd always succeed in one way or another, but I didn't take any chances until I was 30s.
Mm,
So I would just say
interesting.
trust your gut. I always knew I'd be good at trading stocks, but for some reason I never tried until I was 30.
If you, God forbid, if you became bankrupt today, that you lost everything, you had to start from scratch, what's the first thing that you would do?
Airbnb. I don't know. It'd be a mix between kind of what I'm doing now. I would immediately start trading stocks, even if it's with $100. Start with something. The thing is, it's not that hard. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I can always do this or anything of the sort, but it's not that hard to find a bunch of 2x plays in the market, especially when you're trading very volatile stocks that you know are about to see an enormous amount of volume. Um, if you just get like 10 double ups, you take 100 and you turn it into 200, 200 into 400, 400 into 800. That double up effects just starts to become so cataclysmic that all of a sudden you're at 100,000 and then 100,000 into 200,000, 200,000 into 400, 400 into 800, 800 into 1.6. Like it's just a cascading effect and it's all just a little 2x at a time. And those really are not that rare in the stock market in general. I think I would immediately start there and I'd immediately start an Airbnb. Like I said, we didn't use a single dollar to start our first one. I put it on an interest-free credit card. If I had to start from zero today, that's exactly what I would do. I would go try to get the best interest-free credit card I could find right now, and I would get a homeowner to let me list their home on Airbnb because at least in every area is different. I live in a touristy area. I know that any home in this area, I can make at least $1,000 a month on Airbnb. So if I can just go get this interest-free credit card and fund an Airbnb, there's $1,000 a month in income off of one property. I can start doing my stock trading every day. There's typically 5 trading days in a week. That's 5 days that I should be making at least a few $100s a day. Even today, I tried a little short. I did a short squeeze play today, and I was hoping to just make $100. I didn't make 100, but I still made 44. $44 within a few minutes of my time trading a stock, and I was playing with a very small amount of money too. And I almost just got that money on accident just because it was a whim. It's just kind of how easy it is to make money in the market when you know what you're doing and yeah, really just when you know what you're doing. I'm not saying just anybody can do that. You have to learn things, but
Do
um,
do you have a course on your stock knowledge?
we are creating an ultimate guide for beginners to trade stocks and penny stocks in general. But no, I haven't released that course yet. Hopefully, it'll be out by the end of August, is what we're shooting for. But inside of my Discord community, I spend nearly 24 hours, 7 days a week between my partner and I. Even when I'm not sitting here in front of my computer, I'm always on my phone in the Discord. And there, that's kind of what we specialize in and what we tailor it towards is teaching beginners how to trade stocks. Um, so it's not a structured course just yet, but every single day I'm in there answering questions and teaching people what I'm looking for. Now we have a couple excellent coaches in there as well. Now we're regularly teaching people how to trade options, how to perform a good technical analysis on the chart and plot different points on the chart, how to use chart patterns to identify trends that are coming or happening. Um, as well as perform a fundamental analysis, which is kind of my specialty, running these $1 million businesses for so many years. I'm really good at analyzing a company through their financial statements, their profit and loss, their balance sheet, their income statement, and figuring out if they're handling themselves in a financially responsible way. Is this a good management team or a bad management team? They're losing $100 million a year and the CEO makes 50 million a year. Well, I can see where their problem is right there. How about you pay yourself less, invest more into the company? Kind of, I don't know. I'm just really good at kind of analyzing if I think it's a good company or not, or if I think they're going to succeed long term or not.
What would you say is the goal of your content? All the content that you do.
To teach people all of the things that I wish I was taught in school. When I was in high school, at least for the first couple of years, I was actually an honor student. I applied, I did everything I could to learn as much as I could. And what I found is almost all of that shit is completely useless. I don't use anything I learned in high school: geometry, calculus, trigonometry, chemistry, biology, all of these useless classes that I have never used one single time as an adult. You're talking, it's just terrible. It's retarded, the kinds of things that they teach.
Retarded. Wow. Fun fact, Rockefeller, who's one of the larger proponents for creating the school system that we see today. I think, did you make a TikTok on that?
Probably. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, he basically said that like the he created the school system in a way that to make students workers and not to make them free thinkers and not to make them rich. He wanted to create more workers. The same
Yeah.
school system that we use today.
Yeah, so my thought is exactly in agreement with you. My understanding is the last time the education curriculum has been revamped or tweaked hardly at all was way back in the World Wars, when we needed to tweak it because we needed to create those assembly line workers. Back then, we were a pre-tax government. The Boston Tea Party was over a 3% tax on tea. We overthrew the British government over a 3% tax on tea, and eventually, World War came, and we didn't have a tax system in place. We needed to create one because we needed to create a military infrastructure to be able to help in the World War that we thought, if we didn't, was eventually going to come over and hurt us as well. So we created this system to create factory line workers. That was at the same time Ford was coming out, and Ford just became a big automobile manufacturer, and they came out with their steps of creating an assembly line of, hey, instead of you making that whole car and it taking you 3 months, from now on, I just want you to run this one screw into this one part. That's your only job all day long. And then it's going to go to the next person who takes this bolt and puts it onto this screw. And then it goes on to the next person. So by minimizing everybody's job tasks and creating an assembly line factory kind of pace, that's kind of where we revamped our education system. We haven't done anything with it since then. And I don't know why. It's ludicrous to think that it's been 40 or 60 years since it's had a major overhaul, especially with the adaptation and adoption of the internet and whatnot. Our curriculum, though, was designed pre-internet. It was a completely different world back then. The only thing we've really changed is now there's Common Core math that makes absolutely no sense to anybody except the ones that are being indoctrinated into it right now. But I don't even understand Common Core math. Like, I don't know. My daughter's going through it right now, and sometimes she'll ask me for help on her math homework, which I once upon a time was really good with. And I'm like, I don't have any idea. I'm sorry, I don't have it for you. Let's Google it together.
That sucks. I know too many horror stories of people who gave their math homework to their parents and they came back with all zeros.
Yeah, I just straight up tell her, you got to be able to admit when you don't know. And she's only 13 now, and she's already to the age where I don't know most of what they're teaching anymore. They're teaching it in a slightly different way, and I don't know, just so much of it's so irrelevant that you're not going to use past this grade anyways.
Yeah. Wow. So my last question for you is, if you could have dinner with five people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Elon Musk for sure. I'm a big Elon Musk fanboy. That guy's a visionary. I would say probably Steve Jobs, even though I hate Apple as a company. I respect the man, though. I respect what he's done. I respect what he's done to the world. Yeah, I could go on and on
Apple
about him.
might be in a better place if he was alive, though.
What's that?
Apple might be in a better place if he was alive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, but I don't know. I would say definitely those two. Neil deGrasse, wealth of information. Probably Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. That's where I know him from.
Wonderful.
That guy, he has such a firm grasp on business sense and negotiation and how to structure like contracts and deal. I don't know. I really like that guy. I respect his business hustle. I don't know. There's four. Um, I don't know. For me, it would be just somebody I can find immense value and education from, somebody I can learn from. I'm not interested in meeting a celebrity unless it's somebody I can learn a lot from. Maybe Gary Vee, just because that guy is just overwhelming with positivity, and I think we could all use a little bit of that. Um, I don't know. I got a big respect for Gary Vee as well.
So,
He kind of helps me in my own content creation too. I'm still pretty camera shy. I don't know if it portrays on camera or not, but I'm always terrified every time I turn on the camera. 2 years into this influencership, I'm still not comfortable, but I find comfort in creators like Gary Vee who just push blind optimism, if you will. And he preaches a lot of, instead of creating content, you're just documenting your journey. Like my first year on YouTube, and I'm not a financial expert. I'm not licensed in any of this stuff I've been talking about. I've just been documenting everything I've been doing on YouTube. Hey, I'm making this trade. Hey, that last trade didn't go so well. Don't do that again. I learned from that mistake. Hey, I'm making this trade. Hey, this trade paid really well off. It's kind of just documenting everything I'm doing as I'm doing it in real time. And I don't know, that's helped me with my own content creation, and it's helped me go a little viral on TikTok. Like I used to sell insurance. One of my most viral videos, it's got a couple million views, is talking about how you can leverage life insurance while you're alive. And it's how a lot of rich people avoid millions in taxes, and why people like the Rockefellers and the Buffetts and all of those people, the Rothschilds, why all of them own like hundreds of these life insurance policies. Why? It's a way that they don't have to pay income tax. You instead just pay it into your life insurance policy. And when you want to access the money, you take a loan out against the policy. You pay your tiny little 4% interest to your fund managers. But now you don't pay any taxes. So the 4% interest is still a huge net gain to not paying 40% income tax. So instead of receiving a paycheck from your businesses, you're instead just funneling it all into life insurance, which is completely legal and tax deferred, and tax advantaged. So you just take out a loan, but they don't tax you on a loan. So you still get access to your money. Yeah, I don't know. I get off on a little bit of a rant there. It's just,
No, no, it's fine. And I talked to a few people in the life insurance space, and they always rave about it. They always rave about it. So definitely, I'm happy that we got a lot of this information out there to the public. So I
yeah,
appreciate.
thanks. I appreciate the invite onto the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming you recorded the whole thing, obviously. If you want, I'm more than happy to share it across all my socials as well. Give you a big shout out.
Phenomenal. I'll tag you when it's posted.
Yep, appreciate it.